Hello, and welcome to the Integrated Rehab and Performance Golf Podcast. My name is Nick Curtis, and I'm running the show here at the Integrated Rehab and Performance Center. Today, we're going to talk about a research article that discusses a little bit about the recent science in the programming for golfers. The TPI certification and the TPI screen helps tell us what we need to program for when we look at the individual golfer, but we also use sort of a backbone to our programming that has to do a lot with strength and power, and that is based on the research for what gets the best results in our golfers when we program for them. So this article looked at D2 golfers, and it really wanted to know what is more effective for training golfers. Is it the trendy kind of doing exercises that look like a golf swing type stuff, a lot of unilateral one-arm things, or is it more of that traditional, closer to traditional, bilateral barbell work like a barbell back squat or front squat or a deadlift, bench press, barbell row, things like that, compared to a lot of band type work or medicine ball stuff. All of these things can be effective if we're being honest, but is one better than the other, or is it essential that if you're going to do things like this, that you at least have components of one in there? And what they had found in this research article is that it seems that the strength and power type bilateral barbell work definitely has a place in the programming for golfers, especially in this case they were D2s, so pretty well-equipped golfers, and I think that transfer will be even better in the modern population, especially if they're not training at all or have reduced training history. So an important component in our strength training is looking for transfer from the gym to the golf course, and one key metric that we want to look at is club head speed. It is well understood that club head speed translates to ball distance, and that the better we are off the tee or just distance in general with any club, the better the scoring, right? That has been demonstrated in many studies. So what we want to do in the gym is really make sure that we are creating or helping our body get into positions for the golf swing and that it is strong there and stable there, and that we are maximizing force production. So this study is really focusing on the gym component for force production. Now, what's the best way to do that? Well, it seems strength and conditioning or strength and power exercises more traditionally definitely need to be incorporated. So what we found in this study is that collegiate athletes, depending on whether they were doing a more trendy programming or a more typical bilateral barbell programming, were able to improve their gym metrics better than the trendy programming. So what that means is that when they were doing strength and power programming with barbells at strength and power intensities, so lower reps and higher weight, they improved after 8 weeks their back squat, their deadlift, their power clean, and their counter movement jump, which is a great assessment for explosiveness. Now that seems to make a lot of sense. The other group wasn't doing as much or really any of these types of movements. They were using lighter weights. When you do something unilaterally or with one arm, say a one-arm dumbbell bench press, even if you're attempting to use the same amount of weight, say half the weight as you would in a two-arm dumbbell bench press, you typically can't do it, or the neurological effects just aren't quite there. When you have to put so much of your neurological input into stability, just making sure that you're not rolling off the bench or something like that, it automatically puts the brakes on your ability to produce force, right? So having a bilateral or say a two-armed or two-leg type movement automatically increases our ability to produce force, and we kind of stop ourselves from handicapping ourselves in that way. So we were able to create better improvements in those movements when we did the power and strength programming. Now the next question is, do these movements correlate to the golf metric, which is club head speed? Now we know club head speed correlates to better scoring and better distance, but we need to know, does improving a back squat or a deadlift, power clean, and counter movement jump correlate to better and faster club head speeds? The answer to that they found was yes, definitely yes. Within group, the experimental group improved their club head speed, and compared to the control group, the experimental group also definitely improved their club head speed relative to that group. In fact, the control group doing the more trendier exercise routine did not improve their club head speed at all. Right, so that's a huge difference. Doing strong strength and power movements definitely better at improving club head speed. Now, we need to keep in mind that it's important, we understand now it's important to improve our strength and power output using these types of movements, but not everybody might be able to do these types of movements in the gym. So things like a heavy back squat, very intense, an intense heavy deadlift, even a power clean. Maybe we just don't have the skills for it, or we haven't been training that way our entire life, so it just might not be in the cards at the moment. This is why it's so important to do a screen like the TPI screen, is we need to make sure that we have an athlete, a golfer in front of us that is able to do it. Now, for a collegiate level athlete, maybe we are more capable to get in the gym and do these heavy type movements. But for someone who's just a golf enthusiast who likes to play in the summer, maybe they're not training this way at home, and maybe long term it's not exactly the way they really want to train. Either way, we need to find a way to get these types of movements into the programming in a more realistic way. And that being said, it's not that their entire programming should be like this. It always has to be balanced. So we definitely need to include barbell work, but it's definitely not going to be everything that we're doing. That would never be sustainable, even for the collegiate athletes, definitely not for just some more of your average golfers looking to improve their score, right? So we need to find different ways to include these types of movements into their programming, and a TPI screen will let us know kind of the degree to which we can do that. Also, we need to keep in mind that besides just improving strength and power, we need to make sure we're still working on flexibility, mobility, stability, and balance, right? So this is what the screen does, is it kind of tells us a little bit about all these components, and that we can work on those within our programming as well. Barbell type movements, especially if we're doing those for a long time, working on strength, working in those very high, heavy load environments with low repetitions, high weight, definitely can start to have an effect on our mobility and even our backswing and downswing mechanics, right? So they need to be incorporated into our programming if we're really going to maximize our the transfer of our gym sessions onto the golf course. But we need to make sure that it's balanced and that we're still working very diligently on very specific findings from TPI screens that tell us where we are lacking already, right? So it's this type of balance work that really makes a program useful. So in conclusion, to wrap everything up, research has shown us that improving gym metrics like max strength in a back squat or a deadlift, power clean, and counter movement jump, things that we do in the gym, improving our ability to produce force in these activities does have an effect at improving club head speed. Now, this research and some other research has shown that this barbell type work is best for improving those strength metrics. So now we understand some things that we must incorporate at certain times in our programming is some of this barbell work that will improve our gym metrics and testing. What this research article has shown, and others, is that improving those metrics also improves club head speed. So there's a transfer onto the golf course. And what many, many, many research articles have shown is that improving club head speed definitely improves ball distance and scoring, right? So we can do so much in the gym to improve our score on the golf course. Besides that, just making sure we have a well-balanced program that is addressing some of our very specific to each individual needs, whether it's a shoulder mobility thing, a hip mobility thing, a surgery in the past that an individual golfer might have had. We need to make sure that these are all being addressed at certain parts in the programming on a day-to-day level, as well as a monthly and annual programming level. And that is what the TPI screen does. That's what we do here at the Integrated Rehab and Performance Center. So we take all this into account to create programs for everyone with the general strength conditioning that can apply to just about anyone. We make sure that there's movements in there that just about anyone can do while still getting that strength transfer. And then again, we work on this very specific screening results, working on very specific things that each golfer brings to the table. Thanks for listening.